You know what's crazy? People often decide whether they respect you or not before you even finish your first sentence. You walk into a room, start talking, try to explain your ideas, but somehow people interrupt you, ignore you, or talk over you, and you start wondering, what am I doing wrong? Here's the strange part: most of the time, it has nothing to do with your intelligence, your experience, or your value. It comes down to a few tiny signals in the way you speak, react, and carry yourself, signals that quietly tell people how far they can push you. Once you change those signals, the way people treat you can shift almost instantly. Today, I'm going to show you 5 subtle behaviors that make people respect you without you saying a word. The first signal that makes people unconsciously undervalue you is when you constantly try to make everyone else comfortable, even when it makes you uncomfortable. You've probably been in this situation before. Someone interrupts you during a conversation. You're in the middle of speaking, they jump in, change the topic, and the whole group immediately follows them. You just smile, nod slightly, and go quiet. Most people think reacting like that is polite. They believe being accommodating will make others like them more. But this is exactly the mistake. In social psychology, how you react in small moments like this sends a signal that tells people where you place your own value. When you immediately step aside, their brain registers something very simple. You don't protect your position. And once that signal repeats a few times, they start assuming interrupting you is normal. The right response is actually much simpler than most people think. When someone interrupts you, don't smile it off and disappear. Just calmly say, "Hold on a second. Let me finish this thought." No frustration, no raised voice, just continue speaking. Someone who respects themselves doesn't fight for attention. They simply don't allow others to take it away. The second signal that makes people underestimate you is when you constantly over-explain yourself. You've probably experienced this before. You share an idea in a meeting or with a group of friends, but right after that, you start adding a series of phrases like, "I might be wrong," "I'm not sure, but maybe I'm mistaken." You think you're being humble, but to other people, it sends a completely different signal. When you lower your own opinion before anyone even responds, you subconsciously teach people that your idea isn't very reliable. And the human brain is very quick at reading these signals. People with a strong presence don't necessarily speak more, they just speak with more certainty. Instead of saying, "Maybe I'm wrong, but," say, "In my opinion, a better approach would be." Same idea, completely different energy. Respect usually doesn't come from always being right, it comes from believing in what you say. The third signal happens in a moment that feels very familiar. Someone makes a joke that goes a little too far, a sarcastic remark, a subtle jab at you in front of others. Everyone laughs and you laugh along with them. On the surface, everything seems completely normal. But here's the problem. When you constantly laugh off jokes that make you uncomfortable, people never learn where your boundaries are. And when there are no boundaries, people will keep testing how far they can go. The important thing here is not reacting aggressively. You just need to change the energy of the moment. Instead of laughing it off, you can simply look at them and say, "That was a bit too much." No long explanation, no argument. A simple sentence like that immediately makes the boundary clear. People with strong presence aren't the ones who never get teased. They're the ones who make others know when to stop. The fourth signal is something most people don't even realize. This is where it gets dangerous. Many people think that to be respected, they need to talk more, show more, or prove themselves more. But what actually lowers your value is trying too hard to be recognized. You can see this in everyday conversations. Someone constantly explains their achievements, always trying to prove they're capable. They're right, they're impressive. And the paradox is, the more they try to prove it, the less people respect them. Why? Because when you constantly seek recognition, you send a signal that you need it. People with high presence do the opposite. They don't try to take up space, but they don't shrink either. They say what needs to be said, then they stop. No justification, no trying to convince the whole room. And that calmness is exactly what gives their words more weight. Strong presence isn't about talking the most. It's about not needing to say much to be heard. Finally, there's one thing many people misunderstand about respect. They think respect comes from being more likable, more agreeable, more easygoing. But in reality, respect usually comes from something much simpler. Clear boundaries. When you don't let people interrupt you. When you don't lower your own opinion. When you don't laugh off things that make you uncomfortable. And when you don't seek approval from other people. Something interesting starts to happen. People start adjusting the way they treat you. Not because you change them, but because you change the signals you send. So today, try something very small. In your next conversation, when you have an opinion, say it with certainty. No apology, no shrinking. Just say it clearly. Sometimes one small moment like that is enough for the way people see you to completely change. So here's the truth. Respect rarely comes from trying harder to impress people. It comes from the signals you send about how you see yourself. When you constantly explain, apologize, or let small things slide, people don't see kindness. They see uncertainty. But once you understand this, something powerful happens. You stop chasing approval and start protecting your presence. And the moment you do that, people begin adjusting how they treat you. So the next time someone interrupts you, questions you, or tries to push your boundaries, remember this. You don't need to prove your worth. You just need to stop giving signals that it can be ignored. Stand by your words. Hold your space. And let your calm confidence do the talking. If this video helped you, like and subscribe for more videos like this.